Captain stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and stared at the screens. 50 alien ships floated in space above Earth. They were massive, each one 10 times bigger than his vessel. Their hulls were smooth and silver, reflecting the light from the sun. They had been there for 3 hours, silent and waiting. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant from her station. Her hands moved quickly over the controls. "They want to talk." Nodded, "Put it through." The main screen changed. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, pale blue skin, and no visible nose. When it spoke, the translator device converted the sounds into words humans could understand. "We are the Galactic Concordat," the alien said. Its voice was flat and emotionless. "You are the species called humans. We come to welcome you to galactic civilization." Felt his crew watching him. He kept his face neutral. "We're honored by your visit. I'm captain of the United Earth Defense Force." "You will send representatives to our command ship," the alien continued. "We have terms for your integration into the Concordat." 2 hours later, stood in a large chamber aboard the alien flagship. With him were Dr. Earth's best scientist who studied alien life, an ambassador who was supposed to handle diplomatic matters. The room was cold and the walls glowed with a soft white light. 12 different aliens sat in a circle around them. Each one looked completely different from the others. Some had fur, others had scales. Some were tall, others were short. But they all had one thing in common. They looked at the humans like adults looking at children. The blue-skinned alien spoke again. "I am delegate of the Concordat Council. Your species has been evaluated. You have achieved space flight and basic energy manipulation. This makes you eligible for admission to galactic society." "That's wonderful," Ambassador said with a smile. "We've hoped to meet other intelligent life for centuries." "There are requirements," said. The other aliens remained silent, watching. "All new species must pay tribute to the Concordat. This ensures stability and order across the galaxy." Doctor stepped forward. She held a small device that recorded everything. "What kind of tribute?" 4 eyes blinked one at a time. "Your planet will provide 40% of all resources you extract each year. You will also send 100,000 of your people to serve as workers in Concordat facilities. Additionally, you must dismantle all military vessels and weapons. The Concordat provides security. You will not need them." The chamber went quiet. Felt his jaw tighten. He looked at who had gone pale. Doctor's hand gripped her recording device so hard her knuckles turned white. 40%, said carefully. "That would cripple our economy, our people would starve." "You will adapt," replied. "All species do. This is the price of civilization." "And our people?" Doctor asked. Her voice shook slightly. "You want us to send humans to work for you? That sounds like slavery." For the first time, showed something that might have been emotion. His 4 eyes narrowed. "Slavery is forbidden by Concordat law. Your people will be compensated with housing and nutrition. They will serve for 20 years, then return home." 20 years, whispered. "Most of them would be old by then. Some wouldn't survive." "These terms are non-negotiable," said. "They are the same terms offered to all species. 347 worlds currently pay tribute to the Concordat. You will be the 348th. Stepped forward, and if we refuse?" All 12 aliens turned to look at him. His voice remained flat. "Refusal is not an option. Species that refuse are removed from their worlds and relocated to designated zones. Your planet's resources are then extracted by the Concordat directly. No species has refused in 4,000 years." "Because you threaten them," said. His voice was steady but his fists were clenched. "We maintain order," corrected. "The alternative is chaos, war, destruction. The Concordat brought peace to the galaxy." "Peace through fear," Doctor muttered. His translator didn't pick up the comment, or he chose to ignore it. "You have 30 days to prepare your first tribute shipment. We will return then. Delegate, this meeting is concluded." The humans were escorted back to their shuttle. Nobody spoke during the short flight back to the Indomitable. When they finally entered its private office, collapsed into a chair. "They're going to take everything," she said. 40% of our resources, 100,000 people, our entire military will be completely helpless." Doctor was already reviewing her recordings. "Did you notice their technology? The ship design is impressive, but it's old, really old. I saw power conduits that use magnetic containment we abandoned 50 years ago." Moved to his window and looked out at the alien fleet. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying their ships might be big, but they're not as advanced as they look. They're relying on size and intimidation." Pulled up several images on her tablet. "Look at their weapons ports. They're using plasma cannons that need long charge times. Our missiles could hit them 3 times before they got off one shot." "But there are 50 of them," said. "And they said 347 worlds already pay tribute. How many ships do they have in total?" "Thousands probably," admitted. He turned to face them. "But's right. They're old, comfortable. They've been doing this for so long they've stopped innovating." His communicator buzzed. It was Admiral who commanded all of Earth's defense forces. "Captain, report to Earth immediately. Emergency council meeting." 6 hours later, sat in a room with the leaders of every nation on Earth. Admiral stood at the head of the table. She was 60 years old, with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "We've all heard the Concordat's demands," she said. "Every government has been contacted. They want an answer in 30 days. She paused and looked around the room. "I've spent the last 3 hours reviewing everything we know about these aliens. I've talked to our scientists, our engineers, our military strategists." "And?" someone asked. Admiral's expression hardened. "They think we're primitive. They think we'll surrender without a fight because that's what every other species has done. They're used to civilizations that bow down when threatened." "So what do we do?" another leader asked. Smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had just realized they held better cards than their opponent knew. "We show them what humans do when someone tries to enslave us. We've fought tyrants before. Kings, emperors, dictators. We didn't bow down to them either." Ambassador looked worried. "They have thousands of ships, advanced technology. If we fight, they could destroy us." "Maybe," agreed, "but maybe not. Our advantage is that they don't expect resistance. They've become lazy, arrogant." She turned to, "Captain, I want you to prepare for war, quietly. If they come back in 30 days expecting tribute, they're going to get something very different." Felt something warm spread through his chest. It was fear mixed with determination. "What are you suggesting?" Admiral looked at each person in the room. "We don't give them tribute. We give them a fight. And if we're very smart and very lucky, we might just win." The meeting ended. As left the building, he looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the alien fleet waited. They thought humans would surrender. They thought wrong. The countdown had begun. Commander crouched in the darkness of the alien ship's maintenance tunnel. His team of 6 followed silently behind him. They had been aboard the Concordat vessel for 3 hours, moving through spaces the aliens never thought to guard. "The data core should be 2 sections ahead," whispered the team's intelligence specialist. She checked her scanner. No life signs nearby. Nodded and moved forward. Earth had 27 days left before the Concordat returned for their tribute. 27 days to learn everything they could about their enemy. That's why and his team had volunteered for this mission. They had slipped onto one of the smaller Concordat ships using a stealth shuttle that barely showed up on sensors. They reached the data core room. It was empty, just as predicted. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they didn't bother with security inside their own ships. Watched as connected her device to the alien computer system. "How long?" he asked quietly. 10 minutes to break their encryption. Maybe 5 more to copy what we need." While Worked thought about how much had changed in the past 3 days. Earth's factories now ran day and night, building weapons and ships. Every nation had contributed everything they could. Money didn't matter anymore. Survival did. Goddett breathed. Her eyes widened as she read the data. "Commander, you need to see this." Looked at her screen. What he saw made his blood run cold, then hot with anger. The file showed a list of species under Concordat control. 347 different civilizations, just like it said, but next to each name was a number, a military strength rating. "They're all ranked at level 1 or 2, said. "The lowest ratings. The Concordat itself is rated at level 6. "What about us?" asked. "What did they rate humanity?" Scrolled down. "Level 1, they think we're no threat at all." Felt his jaw tighten. "Show me the other files, everything about their military." What they discovered over the next hour was both terrifying and encouraging. The Concordat had vast numbers of ships, that much was true. Over 5,000 warships spread across the galaxy. But they were old. Some of the designs hadn't been updated in centuries. The Concordat had grown comfortable. They hadn't fought a real war in over 3,000 years. "Copy everything," ordered. "Ship designs, weapon specifications, communication protocols, every bit of data we can carry." Back on Earth, Captain stood in a briefing room with Admiral and dozens of other officers. On the large screen was Engineer Sora, a young woman who had revolutionized Earth's weapons technology in just 3 weeks. "Show them what you've built," Admiral said. Sora's face was tired but excited. "We can't match their ship size. We don't have time to build vessels that big, but we don't need to." She pulled up a schematic. "This is the Viper missile. It's small, fast, and carries an electromagnetic pulse warhead. One hit and it fries their old systems." "How many can we make?" asked. "We have 6,000 already. We'll have 10,000 by the time they return." Another officer spoke up. "What about ships? We only have 40 combat vessels. They had 50 just in that one fleet." Sora smiled. "We don't need big ships, we need fast ones." Another schematic appeared. "These are Dragonfly fighters. One pilot, heavily armed, and they can outmaneuver anything the Concordat has. We're building 500 of them." Admiral stood. "The Concordat thinks in terms of size and power. They'll bring their big ships and expect us to surrender when we see them. Instead, they'll face a swarm of small, fast attackers they can't hit." Lieutenant raised her hand. She was one of Earth's best pilots. "Who's going to fly these dragonflies?" "You are," said. "You and the 499 best pilots from every nation on Earth. Training starts tomorrow." Across the planet, changes were happening fast. Factories worked around the clock. Schools taught children about what was coming. Nobody panicked. Instead, humans did what they always did when threatened. They worked together. Doctor spent her days studying everything they knew about Concordat species. She made a discovery that would prove crucial. The aliens didn't understand human emotions. They saw fear and anger as weaknesses. They had never encountered a species that used those emotions as fuel for determination. "They've never seen anyone fight back," explained to during one of their meetings. "For 4,000 years, species have submitted because the Concordat seemed too powerful, but no one ever tested them. No one ever made them bleed." "We're about to," said grimly. Meanwhile, Ambassador worked on something unexpected. She was preparing a message, but not for the Concordat. It was for all the other species they controlled. Commander's data had included communication frequencies used across the galaxy. "If we're going to do this," explained to the War Council, "we need to make sure everyone sees it. When we fight back, when we show that the Concordat can be hurt, other species might find their courage too." The plan was coming together. In orbit above Earth, the Indomitable underwent rapid upgrades. Its weapons were doubled. Its shields were reinforced. Captain walked through his ship, watching his crew work with fierce determination. "Sir," said one young ensign, "do you think we can win?" Stopped and looked at her. She couldn't have been more than 20 years old. "I think we can do something no one else has done in 4,000 years. We can show the galaxy that the Concordat isn't invincible. Whether we win or lose, that matters." The young woman nodded and returned to her work. 20 days passed, then 25. Earth was as ready as it could be. The new weapons were in place. The fighters were built. The pilots were trained. Every ship was armed and positioned. On day 28, early warning sensors detected the Concordat fleet approaching. But it wasn't 50 ships this time. It was 200. "They're not taking chances," Admiral observed from her command center. "They brought overwhelming force." "Good," said from the Indomitable's bridge. "Let them be confident. Let them think they've already won." The Concordat fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They formed up in a standard formation, big ships in front, smaller ones behind. They began moving toward Earth at a steady pace, not rushing, taking their time. Delegates' face appeared on screens around Earth. "Humans of Earth, your 30 days have ended. Prepare to transfer tribute. Resistance will result in your relocation. Comply and you will be integrated into galactic civilization peacefully." In the war room, Admiral looked at her officers. Every nation's military leader was present. "Well," she said calmly, "I believe it's time we gave them our answer." She pressed a button. Around the planet, a signal went out. Every ship, every fighter, every weapon system activated at once. The Dragonfly fighters launched from hidden bases. The Indomitable and its sister ships powered up their engines. Sat in his captain's chair and opened a communication channel to the Concordat fleet. "Delegate, this is Captain. We have considered your terms carefully." There was a pause. Appeared on screen, his 4 eyes showing what might have been satisfaction. "You will comply?" "No," said simply. "We reject your terms. Earth belongs to humanity. If you want our resources, our people, our freedom, you'll have to take them by force. And I promise you, we will make you pay for every inch." His expression changed. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "You cannot win. We have 200 ships. You are one small planet." Smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant smile. "Then you have nothing to worry about. Come and take what you want if you can." He cut the transmission. Around him, his crew sat at their stations, tense but ready. He could see the Concordat fleet. They had stopped moving. Clearly, they were confused. This had never happened before. Lieutenant spoke from her fighter, already in space. "All Dragonfly units ready, Captain." "All ships report ready," said the communications officer. Admiral's voice came through. "This is it, people. Show them what humanity is made of. All units engage at will." The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Concordat fleet moved forward, slow and confident. Their 200 ships advanced in perfect formation, like a wall of metal and power rolling toward Earth. On the bridge of their flagship, Delegate watched the small human planet growing larger on his screens. "They have 20 vessels moving to intercept us," reported his tactical officer. "No other activity detected." His 4 eyes blinked in sequence. 20 ships against 200. They are either brave or foolish. He paused. "Prepare to disable their vessels. We will take prisoners to ensure compliance." What didn't see was the cloud of small objects hiding in Earth's shadow. 500 Dragonfly fighters waited there, their engines cold, their systems on minimal power. They were nearly invisible to the Concordat's old sensors. Lieutenant sat in her cockpit watching her display. Her hands rested lightly on the controls. Behind her, 499 other pilots waited for the signal. They had trained for this moment for weeks. Now it was real. "All fighters, this is Admiral," came the voice through their headsets. "Wait for it. Let them get close. Let them think they've won." The Concordat fleet reached the midpoint between Earth and where the human ships waited. Their formation was tight. Their weapons were charging. They expected the human ships to either surrender or die quickly. "Now," Admiral said quietly. Pressed her ignition. Her dragonfly roared to life. All around her, 500 fighters did the same. They swept around Earth like a swarm of angry hornets, accelerating to speeds the Concordat ships couldn't match. "What is that?" Tactical officer shouted, his screens filled with small contacts. Hundreds of them. Where did they come from? The dragonflies hit the Concordat fleet from 3 sides at once, locked onto a large cruiser and fired 2 Viper missiles. They streaked across space and slammed into the alien ship's hull. The electromagnetic pulse detonated and the cruiser's lights went dark. Dead in space. All around the battlefield, the same scene repeated. Small human fighters danced between the massive alien ships, too fast to hit, too many to track. The Viper missiles found their targets with deadly accuracy. Within 3 minutes, 40 Concordat ships were disabled. "Return fire," ordered. "Destroy those small craft." The alien ships tried. Their plasma cannons charged and fired, sending bright bolts of energy through space. But the dragonflies were already gone, moving to new positions. The old Concordat targeting systems couldn't keep up with the human pilots' aggressive maneuvers. Captain watched from the Indomitable as his plan unfolded perfectly. "All ships, advance. Focus on the command vessel." The 20 human warships moved forward, their weapons blazing. They weren't trying to match the Concordat ships in size or power. Instead, they targeted specific weak points that Commander's intelligence mission had identified. Power junctions, communication arrays, shield generators. Engineer Sara had designed special torpedoes for this battle. They didn't explode on impact. Instead, they burrowed into the alien ships' hulls and released swarms of nanobots that ate through critical systems. The Concordat had never seen anything like it. "We're losing ships too fast," tactical officer reported. 70 vessels disabled. "No, 80. They're targeting our systems precisely. How do they know where to hit?" Finally understood. The humans had studied them, learned their weaknesses, prepared for this battle. All ships retreat to defensive formation. But it was too late. The Concordat fleet was in chaos. Their commanders were shouting conflicting orders. Their ships were colliding with each other as they tried to regroup. The humans pressed their advantage. Pulled her dragonfly into a tight loop and came up behind a destroyer. She fired her last 2 missiles and watched them strike home. The destroyer went dark. That was her 5th kill. She felt no joy, only determination. "Dragonfly 7 to all units. Watch your spacing. Don't get cocky." The battle lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, 130 Concordat ships were disabled and drifting. 20 more had been destroyed when their reactors overloaded. The remaining 50 ships fled at maximum speed, jumping to faster-than-light travel the moment they were clear of Earth's gravity well. Earth had lost 3 ships and 17 fighters. The cost was painful but far less than anyone had feared. On the Indomitable's bridge, his crew erupted in cheers. He allowed them 1 minute of celebration, then raised his hand for silence. "Good work, everyone, but this isn't over. They'll be back, and next time they'll bring more ships." Admiral appeared on his screen. Her face was serious despite the victory. "Captain, Doctor has something ready. It's time for Phase 2. Dr. Yang was a quantum physicist who specialized in communication technology. While the weapons engineers had prepared for battle, he had worked on something different. A way to broadcast across the entire galaxy using quantum entanglement. It would take enormous power, but Earth's reactors could provide it for a few precious minutes. "We're ready," reported from his laboratory. "Say the word and the whole galaxy will hear us." Ambassador stood in a broadcasting studio. Behind her, screens showed footage of the battle, disabled Concordat ships drifting in space, small human fighters darting between them like David defeating Goliath. She had rehearsed her speech 100 times. Now it mattered. "Begin transmission," Admiral ordered. Across the galaxy, on 347 different worlds, something impossible happened. Every communication device suddenly activated. Screens lit up. Speakers crackled to life. The Concordat's own networks were hijacked by the human signal. Spoke, her voice was calm but firm. "People of the galaxy, my name is Ambassador of Earth. For 4,000 years, you have been told that the Concordat cannot be challenged, that resistance is impossible, that you must pay tribute and accept servitude." The footage played behind her. Human fighters destroying ships 10 times their size. Concordat vessels fleeing in disorder. "We are human. We are new to the galaxy. We have no advanced technology. We have no powerful allies. We have only our courage and our refusal to surrender our freedom." She paused. "Today, we fought the Concordat. They brought 200 ships to force us into submission. We destroyed or disabled 180 of them." On dozens of worlds, people stopped what they were doing. They stared at screens in disbelief. Some thought it was a trick. Others felt something they hadn't felt in generations: hope. "The Concordat is not invincible," continued. "They are old and slow and overconfident. They rule through fear because no one has challenged them, but we did, and we won." She leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. "I know many of you are watching this. I know you're afraid. The Concordat has ruled for so long that resistance seems impossible, but it isn't. We proved that today." The footage changed. It now showed Earth cities, people working together, different nations united for a common cause. "We don't ask you to fight. We don't ask you to rebel. We only ask you to remember something your ancestors knew. Freedom is possible. Dignity is your right. And tyrants, no matter how powerful they seem, can fall." Behind, a young woman appeared on screen. It was who had helped hijack the Concordat's communication networks. She smiled at the camera. "If you want to talk, we're listening. If you want to resist, we'll help. The address is included in this transmission. Reach out to us. Together, we can change the galaxy." The transmission ended. For a moment there was silence across hundreds of worlds. Then, slowly, quietly, messages began reaching Earth. The first came from a species called the who had paid tribute for 800 years. The message was simple: "Is this real? Can you really fight them?" More messages followed. Questions, expressions of hope, requests for information. Within 6 hours, Earth had received contact from 12 different species. Doctor coordinated the responses. "We need to be careful. Some of these might be Concordat traps." "I know," replied, "but some of them are real. Some of them are ready to fight." Captain stood at his window, looking out at Earth. The planet looked peaceful from here, but he knew the truth. The battle they had won was just the first. The Concordat would return with everything they had. But now humanity wouldn't face them alone. The message was out. The galaxy had seen that resistance was possible. Seeds of rebellion were being planted on worlds across space. On the Concordat, the Council met in emergency session, stood before them humiliated. "The humans defeated our fleet. They used tactics we have never encountered. Worse, they broadcast their victory to every species we control." The council leader, an ancient being with silver scales, spoke slowly. "In 4,000 years, no species has ever defeated our forces. The humans must be destroyed completely. Send everything. 5,000 ships. Turn their planet to ash." "But the other species," protested, "if they see us commit such genocide." "Then they will remember why they fear us," the council leader said coldly. "The human threat must end. Immediately." The message went out. Every Concordat ship from every corner of the galaxy received the same order: converge on Earth, eliminate the human species, show the galaxy what happens to those who resist. Earth had 90 days before the Armada arrived. 90 days to prepare for the battle that would decide humanity's fate. Ambassador stepped off his shuttle onto a planet he had never seen before. The sky was purple, and two moons hung low on the horizon. Waiting for him were three beings that looked like walking trees, their bark-like skin covered in glowing patterns. "You are the human," one of them asked through a translator device. "I am," replied. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "We saw your broadcast," the alien said. "We watched your ships defeat the Concordat. Is it true? Can they really be beaten?" Nodded, "They can. They're powerful, but they're not gods. They bleed like anyone else." This was his fifth meeting in 3 weeks. Earth had received messages from 19 different species. Some were curious, some were suspicious, but 12 of them were serious. They wanted to fight back. The tree-like aliens led to a hidden facility underground. There, representatives from 7 other species waited. Recognized some from the intelligence data commander had stolen. The who looked like 4-legged cats with 6 eyes. The silicon-based beings that resembled living crystals. Others were completely new to him. "We all saw your victory," said a representative. "But the Concordat is coming with their full fleet, 5,000 ships. How can you survive that?" Pulled up a holographic display. "We can't, not alone, but we're not asking you to fight beside us for free. We're offering you an alliance, a coalition of free species." "What do you offer?" asked its crystalline body chiming as it spoke. "Technology," said. "Human military tactics, training, weapons designs, everything we learned from studying the Concordat." He changed the display to show ship schematics. "More importantly, we offer you a chance, maybe the only chance you'll ever get to be free." An alien that looked like an upright lizard spoke. "The Concordat has ruled for 4,000 years. Even if we help you, even if we somehow win, what happens next? Do you humans just become the new overlords?" Shook his head firmly. "No, we're proposing the Free Worlds Alliance. Every species is equal. Every world governs itself. We stand together only to defend each other." He paused. "We don't want an empire, we just want to be left alone. We assume you feel the same way." The meeting lasted hours. Questions were asked, doubts were expressed, but slowly agreements were reached. The 12 species would contribute ships and resources. In return, Earth would share its weapons, technology, and military strategies. Back on Earth, Captain Minu oversaw the construction of the coalition fleet. Minu was younger than most captains, only 32, but he had a gift for organization. Alien ships arrived daily at secret bases throughout the solar system. Each one needed to be integrated into the unified fleet. "The ships are fast but lightly armed," Minu reported to Admiral. "We're installing human missile systems on them. The vessels are slow but have incredible shields. We're using them as mobile fortresses." Studied the fleet composition on her displays. How many ships total? 4,000 and counting. Not all of them are combat vessels. Many are converted cargo ships, but it's more than we hoped for. In training facilities across Earth and its new allied worlds, an unprecedented cooperation was taking place. Human instructors taught alien pilots how to fly in formation. Alien engineers showed humans how their shield technology worked. Language barriers were crossed. Cultural differences were navigated. Lieutenant found herself teaching a class of pilots. They learned quickly, their 6 eyes giving them superior spatial awareness. "The key is unpredictability," she explained. "The Concordat expects logical, predictable movements. We give them chaos." Doctor made another discovery during this time. She was studying the psychology of the different species and noticed something important. The Concordat's dominant species, including Delegate's people, had a biological weakness. They had no adrenaline equivalent. They couldn't experience the fight-or-flight response that gave humans and several other species an edge in combat. "They've never felt true fear," explained to the War Council. "They know danger intellectually, but they don't feel it in their bodies. That's why they've never developed defensive tactics. They've never needed them." Intelligence officer spent her days coordinating with resistance cells on Concordat-controlled worlds. Secret groups were forming everywhere. Some sabotaged tribute shipments. Others fed information to the coalition. A few began quietly stockpiling weapons. "We have contacts on 43 worlds now," reported. "When the battle starts, they're ready to create chaos behind Concordat lines." The Concordat Armada was still 60 days away, but they weren't idle. Delegate led a fleet of advanced scouts, trying to locate the human fleet and their new allies. Commander made sure they found nothing. "We've planted false sensor readings across 12 systems," told. "They think we're in the sector, preparing defensive positions." "Where are we really?" asked. Smiled, "Everywhere and nowhere. The fleet is dispersed across 50 locations. When the time comes, we'll converge at Earth from all directions. They'll think we have twice the ships we actually do." As the days passed, the coalition came together. Humans shared meals with aliens who had never tasted Earth food. Pilots from different species competed in friendly races to see who was fastest. Engineers collaborated on hybrid technologies that combined the best of different civilizations. But it wasn't all smooth. There were arguments about tactics, cultural misunderstandings. One species nearly pulled out when they learned humans ate meat. Another was horrified by how humans treated their artificial intelligences. Ambassador spent much of his time mediating disputes. "We don't have to agree on everything," he told one heated gathering. "We just have to agree that freedom is worth fighting for. Everything else we can figure out later." 3 weeks before the Concordat was due to arrive, the coalition held a joint exercise. 4,000 ships from 13 different species performed coordinated maneuvers. It was messy at first. Ships nearly collided. Communications got confused, but by the end of the week they moved as one. Captain stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the fleet assemble. Ships of every size and shape filled his. Some were sleek and silver. Others were bulky and industrial. A few looked like they barely held together, but they were here, ready to fight. "It's beautiful," Doctor said softly, standing beside him. "It's terrifying," replied. "So many lives depending on us getting this right." Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but determined. "All ships, this is Admiral. The Concordat fleet will arrive at Earth in 18 days. We've done everything we can to prepare. Now comes the hard part." She paused. "I won't lie to you. Many of us won't survive this battle. The Concordat has 5,000 ships. They've never lost a war. They're coming to make an example of us." The bridge crew listened in silence. "But here's what they don't know," continued. "They don't know that every single one of you is here by choice. They don't know that you're fighting for something they can't understand. Freedom, dignity, the right to live your own life." Her voice grew stronger. "The Concordat has ruled through fear for 4,000 years. Today, we're going to teach them a new emotion. Today, they're going to learn what it means to be afraid." Across the fleet on thousands of ships, crews cheered. Different species, different worlds, different languages, but one unified purpose. Engineer Sora completed the final weapon system 3 days before the battle. It was called the Hammer, a massive kinetic weapon that would be dropped from high orbit. It wasn't elegant, but it would be devastating. "It's ready," she told. "One shot, make it count." On day 89, early warning systems detected the Concordat fleet approaching. They came from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 5,000 ships, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. They filled space like a dark cloud, blotting out stars. Delegate stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at the display showing Earth. The humans thought they could hide. Their allies thought they could help. Today, we remind the galaxy why the Concordat has ruled for 4. He opened a channel to his entire fleet. "All ships advance, destroy everything, leave nothing alive. The human plague ends today." The Armada began moving toward Earth. On the Indomitable, Captain sat in his chair. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this, prepared for this. Now it was time. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the Concordat." "Put it through," said. His face filled the screen. His 4 eyes showed something new: hatred. "Captain, you should have surrendered. Now your species will be erased from history. Your planet will be a warning to others who think about resisting." Smiled slightly. "Delegate, I appreciate you making the trip, but you should know something. We're not alone anymore." He pressed a button. Throughout the solar system, 4,000 ships dropped their stealth fields and appeared on sensors. They emerged from behind moons, from within asteroid fields, from hiding spots the Concordat never thought to check. The Coalition fleet revealed itself. His expression changed. For the first time, his 4 eyes showed fear. "So," said quietly, "shall we begin?" The two fleets faced each other across the dark emptiness of space. 5,000 Concordat ships on one side, their formation perfect and intimidating. 4,000 Coalition ships on the other, a mix of different designs and sizes that somehow felt more alive. Captain stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, his hands steady despite the tension he felt. Around him, his crew prepared for the fight of their lives. He could see hundreds of Allied ships, their running lights like stars against the black. "They're not moving," Lieutenant reported from her Dragonfly fighter, "just sitting there." Doctor, monitoring communications from the science station, spoke up. "They're confused. They expected us to be alone. They're trying to figure out what to do." Delegate stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 4,000 ships, 12 different species, all aligned with the humans. "This is impossible," he muttered. "How did they organize this in 90 days? His tactical officer looked worried. "Sir, should we call for reinforcements?" "There are no reinforcements," snapped. "This is every ship we have," he straightened. "But we still outnumber them, and our ships are superior. We will overwhelm them through sheer force." He opened a channel to his fleet. "All vessels advance in formation, destroy the Coalition fleet, show no mercy." The Concordat Armada moved forward like a slow wave. Admiral watched from Earth's command center. Around her, representatives from all 13 Coalition species monitored their forces. "Let them come," she said calmly. "Execute Plan Delta." The Coalition fleet suddenly split apart. Instead of meeting the Concordat head-on, they broke into dozens of smaller groups. Each group targeted a specific section of the enemy formation. It looked chaotic, but it was carefully planned. "They're scattering," tactical officer said. "Should we pursue?" Before could answer, the first wave hit. Lieutenant and her fighter squadron came in from above, diving through the Concordat formation like sharks. Behind them came fast attack ships, moving in patterns the aliens had practiced for weeks. The battle exploded into life. Captain Minu commanded one of the Coalition task forces, a mix of human destroyers and shield ships. They targeted the left flank of the Concordat fleet, hammering away at the bigger vessels while the ships absorbed return fire with their powerful shields. "Focus on their command ships," Minu ordered. "Take out their coordination." The strategy was working. The Concordat ships were powerful, but they relied on centralized command. When Coalition forces destroyed their command vessels, entire sections of their fleet fell into confusion. Commander led special operations teams on a different mission. While the main battle raged, his ships snuck through the chaos and planted Doctor's quantum jammers. These devices created interference that disrupted Concordat communications across massive areas. "Jammers are active," reported. "They can't coordinate between sectors anymore." Watched his perfect formation fall apart. His ships were fighting independently now, unable to communicate with each other. The Coalition forces exploited this ruthlessly, concentrating their attacks on isolated groups. "All ships fall back to defensive positions," ordered. But his command didn't reach most of his fleet. The jammers were working too well. Captain saw his opportunity. All ships forward, hit them while they're disorganized. The coalition fleet pressed the attack. Human missile ships fired their Viper weapons in massive salvos. Alien ships with plasma weapons targeted the Concordat's older shield systems. Everywhere, the battle turned against the Concordat. But the aliens were not defeated yet. They had numbers on their side. Even confused and uncoordinated, 5,000 ships could cause enormous damage. Coalition vessels began taking heavy casualties. "We've lost the cruiser," reported the communications officer. "The ship Crystal Song is badly damaged and withdrawing." His jaw tightened. They were winning, but the cost was high, too high. Intelligence officer spoke up from her station. "Sir, we're getting reports from behind Concordat lines. The resistance cells are activating. They're sabotaging supply depots and communication hubs." On 43 worlds across the galaxy, people who had lived under Concordat rule for generations rose up. They couldn't send ships to help the coalition, but they could create chaos. Factories stopped producing. Shipyards went dark. Concordat forces far from the battle suddenly found themselves dealing with rebellions. The news reached through his few remaining communication channels. He felt something he had never experienced before. His body tensed. His heart's beat faster. For the first time in his long life, Delegate understood fear. "We're losing," he said quietly. His tactical officer looked at him in shock. "Sir." "We're losing," repeated louder. "The humans have turned the galaxy against us." The battle raged for hours. Ships died on both sides, space filled with debris and frozen bodies. But slowly, inevitably, the tide turned. The coalition forces were more flexible, more creative, more determined. They fought like cornered animals while the Concordat fought like confused bureaucrats. Admiral had been saving one weapon for the right moment. "Engineer Sara," she said into her communicator, "is the hammer ready?" "Ready, Admiral," Sara replied from the orbital platform. "Drop it on the Concordat flagship." The hammer fell from high orbit. It was just a massive piece of metal shaped like a spike, moving at incredible speed. But it didn't need to be fancy. Physics did all the work. The kinetic weapon hits flagship with the force of a small asteroid. The ship's shields held for exactly 2 seconds before failing. The hammer punched through the hull, through multiple decks, and out the other side. The flagship began tearing itself apart. "Abandoned ship," shouted. He ran toward the escape pods with what remained of his crew. With their flagship destroyed and their command structure in chaos, the Concordat fleet broke. Some ships tried to fight on. Most turned and fled. Within an hour, the battle was over. The coalition had won, but at terrible cost. They had lost nearly 800 ships, thousands of lives from 13 different species. Captain looked at the casualty reports and felt the weight of every death. "Sir," said Doctor gently, "you should see this." She showed him a display. All across the galaxy, on the worlds that had risen up during the battle, people were celebrating. They were tearing down Concordat monuments, reclaiming their own governments, declaring independence. "It's spreading," said. 16 more species have declared themselves free in the last hour. The Concordat's authority is collapsing everywhere. On the surface of Earth, in a temporary shelter, Colonel's troops brought in prisoners. Among them was Delegate, rescued from his destroyed flagship. He looked small now, defeated and confused. Ambassador approached him. "Delegate, you're going to stand trial for your crimes, but not today. Today, we're too busy rebuilding." Looked up at her with his 4 eyes. "You've destroyed 4,000 years of order. The galaxy will fall into chaos." Shook her head. "No, the galaxy will learn to stand on its own, without tribute, without masters. That's not chaos, that's freedom." 3 months later, representatives from 31 species gathered on Earth. They met in a simple building, not a grand palace. There were no thrones or hierarchy, just a large round table where everyone sat as equals. Captain addressed them. The Concordat wanted tribute from us. They wanted our resources, our people, our freedom. We gave them something different. We gave them an uprising. And now the galaxy is changing. Ambassador stood. We propose the formation of the Free Worlds Alliance. No species rules over another. Each world governs itself. We trade freely, share knowledge, and defend each other when threatened. But we do not conquer. We do not demand tribute. We do not force anyone to join. The vote was unanimous. 31 species agreed to the charter. Doctor established the First Contact Institute, dedicated to helping newly freed species rebuild their societies. Engineer Sora shared Earth's technology with anyone who wanted it. Commander trained security forces to protect worlds from any future threats. Lieutenant became an instructor, teaching pilots from a dozen species. She often thought about the battle, about the friends she had lost, but she also thought about what they had won. Admiral stood on a balcony overlooking a training field where soldiers from 20 different species practiced together. Beside her, Captain watched the same scene. "Do you think it will last?" asked the Alliance. Considered, "I don't know, we're all very different. There will be arguments, maybe even conflicts, but we've proven something important. We've shown the galaxy that cooperation is stronger than domination." She paused and smiled. The Concordat wanted us to kneel. Instead, we taught the galaxy how to stand. That's worth celebrating. On the Concordat, the old council had been dissolved. New leaders, elected by their people for the first time worked to transform their society. They reached out to species they had once dominated, asking forgiveness and offering friendship. It would take time. Wounds that deep didn't heal quickly, but it was a start. Earth's broadcast, the one that had started everything, still played on worlds across the galaxy. Young people watched it and felt inspired. Old people watched it and felt hope. The message was simple but powerful. Freedom is possible. Dignity is your right. Tyrants can fall. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors or servants, but as liberators. They had shown that courage and determination could overcome superior numbers, that cooperation was stronger than fear. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what the humans had intended.